Hello ladies and gentlemen, what is going on? It's your boy izlogic.business. Welcome back to another episode of the Anarchy Analysis World Edition. We are going to be casting for you today G2 Esports versus GenG in the quarterfinal stages of Worlds. This is going to be game number 1 of that best of 5 series. And this is a doozy as these two teams are looking to advance into the semi-finals. And that's a big thing because when these two teams make it out of groups, they usually make it to at least the semi-finals. And that's a huge thing as you look at Jankos as a player. He's never missed semis. He's been to semis every time he's made Worlds. That is a huge accomplishment of a player. And that is something that he's looking to keep on his legacy as we look at the submerge stage of this championship games. Now, these two teams like to play very contrasting styles as GenG considered the very aggressive team towards the bot lane where they look to get priority there and then team fight into the late game with Ruler being very fed. As for G2, they play it quite differently. They use Caps as this champ guy who leaves lane a lot. He likes to get his team ahead for himself. He likes to roam to the top side, give Wunder an advantage, and play through either Perks or Wunder as their main sort of carries. That being said, Caps is a very accomplished player who can carry on his own. We've obviously seen him do that a lot, and he usually picks up that Magi Stole Sealer when G2 just get very far ahead. Now, so far we've seen all the bans coming through, and what you can see is a lot of bans from G2 towards the AD options of GenG. That's a huge thing, is that kind of limits the option for mid lane AD picks like, say, the Lucian or even a Jace. Set also can be classed as that. And that tends to mean that we're going to be seeing standard junglers, as Graves was also banned out by GenG. Now, that does mean that we're seeing the two AP junglers left available, the Nidalee and the Lilia, picked up by either team. And alongside that, G2 have picked up the Camille. And Camille Nidalee is a very interesting combo that G2 have gone for, as you can lock people down with the hookshot into the Hextech Ultimatum, and then allow Nidalee to throw in a spear, land the maximum amount of damage, and then pounce on the target and execute them off. It's a very potent combo that obviously you usually see Nidalee paired with a Renekton in top lane for that combo to go through, but Camille does the job as well. As the rest of the picks come through, G2 opt for the TF and Caps gets a very roamer heavy pick, and G2 have actually drafted quite nicely as they've gone with their top pick, then jungler, and now mid laner in terms of their pick priorities. Now, GenG on the other hand have gone with jungle, top, and ADC. They're putting a bit of priority onto Ruler here as they pick up the Kalista for themselves. Now, this pick as a whole is very interesting to me because it's a very aggressive pick, and usually pair it up with an aggressive support like, say, a Taric. Maybe even a Thresh and a Nautilus are big enough options for GenG to go towards. And you're probably wondering, why would you go for them? Well, Kalista with the Fate School, you can combine this champion's aggression in her kit with an aggressive support to get a lot of CC chain onto an enemy and lock them down for a long enough time for the Kalista just to stack up the spears and rend them out of a target. So these two teams drafting quite nicely. Obviously the Volibear into the Camille matchup, I would say favours the Volibear. Obviously they counterpick that matchup, and I'd say it favours the Volibear because the dueling potential of both these champions get very high. Volibear's early game dueling would be more favoured than the Camille's, and Camille into the late game will outscale him and be very hard to deal with in a side lane. If you're G2, you can just split the map and use the TP and the destiny of the TF to pressurize this GenG lineup. Now the second rotation of bans have come through here. GenG banning out the two big ADCs left available, Ashe being a very powerful counter to Kalista, using them ice volleys that she has and the enchanted crystal arrow. You can lock up that Kalista very nicely, and G2 banning out the roam heavy mid laner. The Galio has been removed from the field, so GenG cannot respond in the same way G2 can to plays with a double TP champion. Instead, they're going to be forced into a Taric pick for the support role for life here. Makes sense, you obviously get the ultimate that provides a basically invulnerable shield, and you basically cannot take damage. That is a big thing as a champion that can be combined with the Kalista to use the Fate Skull to reposition yourself and use that ultimate on the Taric so you hit multiple targets on your team. Very powerful tool. As for G2, they're kind of matching the aggression that GenG have gone for in the spot lane with their own aggressive picks, Pantheon and Jhin. Jhin, however, I wouldn't say is the most aggressive support available for G2. I would honestly say that's the Draven or even a Jinx if they wanted to be very aggressive. But Pantheon as a support pick is a very big option, and it is very powerful in terms of having a point and click CC tool, which is huge against a Kalista. You just land your W onto her, lock her in place, and she is basically stunned up for a long time. You also have the ultimate that can roam the map, which G2 has two champions that have global TPs essentially on them, and that is going to be very big in terms of allowing them to split the map and play for basically Wunder, I would say. And G2 possibly going to be looking to play through Wunder as a main priority through this entire series, as Wunder's carrying potential is very huge. He's been this guy's solid rock in the top lane. Caps and Wunder have basically been G2 this year, as the rest of the team kind of had a meme sort of split, I guess you would say, but with Wunder and Caps, they've been very solid, and that's something that you have to be feared if you're GenG, as these two players on this G2 lineup will decimate you. And considering Rascal as the top laner for GenG hasn't been this outstanding top laner, he's been kind of okay for GenG, and he's going to be tested here against Wunder, who's considered probably the best top laner in my opinion in Europe. Now, as we prepare to load into Rift, we're going to probably see a lot of priority from GenG on these early game objectives, as G2 are a team that don't tend to go towards them. They like to leave up the first two heralds, and the first 2 or 3 drakes are essentially a free objective for GenG. The G2 tried to CS or make a play on the opposite side of the map for themselves to get themselves an advantage that way. Anyway, we load onto the Rift and take a look at the Summoners Cup, the thing that these two teams are playing for in this tournament. And it's time to take our interesting look at the keystones of these two rosters and very standard setups for these two teams. Obviously, Lethal Tempo Azir is quite standard. It's not the Comet or, say, the Electrocute options that we've seen before. It's a more, I want to harass you late game and kill you off with my Sand Soldiers, instead of I want to win lane against you. Because, obviously, Azir will basically win lane against Caps 9 out of 10 times, because Caps really doesn't want to play the lane. He wants to just get out of it and affect the map. And we take a look at this picture-in-picture. Mickey roaming in this jungle, landing the point and click stun, forcing the flash out of Rascal early is going to be a huge thing for G2 if they want to punish that, as Nidalee has actually started bot side, so she could be looking to make a play towards the top side of the map. once she gets up there as bot side. We're going to see the point and click stun from the Pantheon land again. And Jin also started Deadly Flourish, so they have the CC chain on G2's side already unlocked for themselves. Normally you'd probably see bouncing grenade start for a Jin, unless they were going for an aggressive play like they did. So this is going to be very interesting to see how well Perkz actually CS's, considering Kalista's going to have a fairly easy time picking up all the CS, and she picks up level 2 first, so she's more than likely going to be very safe as the Deadly Flourish combo is going to come through here. And because of the overaggression there from Mickey, he's forced to flash, as Tarek would have obviously landed a stun if it was up and available. Obviously the dazzle did come through a few seconds before that. And mid lane, Azir pushing in the minions, kind of a standard thing. Is slightly ahead in CS as topside Camille building up a CS advantage for herself as well. Standard things to see, though I'd expect the Volibear to possibly start trading a bit more past level 3, being aggressive there, as bot side Jin being chunked out very low by this Kalista. Ruler playing this perfectly, stacking up the minions to get an advantage. As we look in this river, Jankos has been hit by the Swirl Seeds, so GenG know where they are, and obviously with BDD having pressure in the mid lane, gonna take this Scuttle Crab for GenG here is cleared, as Jankos is forced to retreat away. Now, top side of the map, we possibly could see a play here as Camille is putting a lot of pressure down here. Clid is hovering around. Hookshot's going to put on the wall. He misses the actual stun part of it. The spear as well from Italy is going to miss, and Camille is forced very low. Forced to flash away as Lilia flashes into, and no first blood's going to go over. However, TP comes in from Caps. He's looking to get the gold card stun onto his Volibear. TP in from the Azir following up, but the first blood goes over to the Lilia, picking that one up for themselves. It's going to be a trade 1-for-1 there as Camille picks up the kill onto Volibear, but Caps is on the wrong side of the map, and this kill is almost certainly going to go over to BDD here. And GenG pick themselves up a 700 gold lead off of that misplay by G2. And what do you know, that's more than likely going to translate over to this Ocean Drake, as the kill credit went over to this Lilia. She's going to go back to base, upgrade the jungle item, pick up an amplifying tome and a boots. As we watch this again, Camille takes a trade, hookshot misses, that is a huge thing, spear misses, so Camille gets taken very low and is basically forced out of this fight permanently. Cabs TP's in, so it's technically a 2v2 still once he gets in. Spear misses once again from the Volibear, and the Volibear just lands his stun onto Nidalee and kills him. Now that Caps is on the wrong side of the map, just very easy for Azir to use the Sound Soldiers to pick up that kill. As we pan towards his bot lane, Kalista actually is going to be putting a lot of pressure down as Caps once again is roaming down. Possibly going to use the blast cone to go over the wall. Actually, he's just going to drop the ward there. I think Clid spotted it being dropped, but GenG know that something's up once Nidalee shows on that control ward that she's just cleared out in the bot lane river. Now, interestingly enough, neither team took the Ocean Drake once that play started. As we looked in mid lane, Azir's going to be forced to shuffle away as bot side Cleanse is being forced out of Perkz as top side. Wunder taking a lot of damage as Swirl Seed narrowly does not hit Perkz there. That would have more than likely have been a kill over to Clid's Lilia, as he would have been easily chased down by being slowed up by the Swirl Seed. Now, obviously this pressure being stacked up bot side should translate over to this Ocean Drake. Obviously Ruler will have taken that turret plate for himself. And what do you know, the Drake started up here. And with the Kalista roaming, actually he's just going to back, not going to go help take Drake. Pantheon though is going to make a play as Destiny's going to come out top lane. The Stormbringer will not matter, and that is going to be a return play on the top half of the map. So Ocean Drake goes over to GenG. G2 managed to pick up a kill for themselves, though they are losing a bit more in terms of turret plating, as the Azir is going to take at least one in the mid lane. And with Caps making plays across the map, you'd usually expect the response to come through from GenG in terms of turret plate taking. However, Lilia gonna steal away the blue buff for herself, whereas Jankos in the Lilia's blue jungle herself gonna take away the wolf camp. So junglers taking objectives from one another, and interestingly enough, Jankos has actually built up a 10 CS advantage over this Lilia, which is actually a very interesting stat, because Jankos as a player during Worlds so far has been very low CSing in comparison to the other junglers in this tournament. He's been kind of, I'd not say shy, I'd say being frozen out of his own jungle for a few games, and that has kind of caused him to get low CS numbers and essentially forced out of the game, I'd say. And he hasn't been the best performer in this tournament, in my opinion. As we look to this mid lane, nothing's going to come out from that bush stack from G2. And that's an interesting thing to note about this game so far. Mickey has actually been sat out of his lane for most of the game. I don't think I've seen him stood with perks since the opening minutes of this game, and that is a huge thing to say, because you'd usually expect your support to be hovering around your ADC for a lot of the game and possibly looking to keep him safe, but he hasn't. He's been roaming around a lot. He's only just now gone back to the bot lane, whereas we see GenG actually pathing towards this Rift Herald. They're starting this one up for themselves. Wonders being pushed in this top lane, and Azir got the push in the mid lane, so this is more than likely going to go over to GenG. G2, however, know that this is happening. Obviously, with the Scuttle Crab control for themselves, it doesn't really matter, so they're possibly going to stack up and get a bit of damage from themselves across the map, though they haven't taken any plates for themselves yet, as Taric and Callista actually roam back down to the bot lane. Obviously, that is a huge thing for them to keep their turret plates alive and not allow any gold over to Perks, or unnecessary gold, I would say, over to Perks. However, Mickey, once again, roaming the map, already in this top high side of the map, gonna possibly look to clear out some vision if there's any of GenG's, as we could see a possible invade from Jankos here, placing traps down. Gonna spot this Taric coming forward. He has not actually been spotted here. Taric's gonna drop a ward though, which will spot Perks, so GenG back away, getting all their raptors and nothing more. That being said, Mickey roaming around this mid lane once again, going back to the bot side with Nidalee coming down as well. Ruler's in a bad position here. Destiny's going to come through here. The Grand Starfall as well. Flash being burnt by the Calista. She burns the cleanse as well, but that is a kill over to Jankos, as the curtain call slowed down the Calista enough to allow this Nidalee to pick up the kill, and G2 responding well to the pressure that GenG put on the map, and have actually just taken or even out the gold lead that GenG had already built, which is a big thing considering the fact that GenG had such a good early game in terms of misplay from G2, allowing them to get ahead. Now, that should more than likely, with the Mountain Drake spawning in the next 36 seconds, allow G2 to possibly take that for themselves, though I don't think they'll put too much priority on it, as that's not something they really want to see. As we go towards this river, Jankos is going to force away Rascal from his Scuttle Crab, and I think Jankos has controlled this top Scuttle Crab the last two spawns of it, so he's getting a fairly big CS advantage for himself. Kind of evens out the difference in this bot lane in terms of CS difference, and we look at everything as it goes across in terms of items. Mid lane, we're going to see the Lost Chapter versus the Rod of Ages on this TF as the first turret's going to fall. And topside, we could see a player's Hexite Ultimatum's going to be challenged onto this Volley Bear, possibly going to be forced to Stormbringer away, but with the healing from that bite back of the W from the Volley Bear, going to keep himself alive. And with that failed play topside, that does mean that GenG can look to make a play towards this Mountain Drake. They're going to secure that for themselves. And with the Rift Herald picking up the mid lane tier 1 at 12 minutes into the game, GenG are looking very solid. With the mid lane being controlled already by them, it's going to be very hard for Caps to actually get out of lane. And that is excellent positioning of the Herald by GenG. And you're probably wondering, why does that mean it's hard for TF to get out of lane? Well, GenG have the longer lane here, because they can have their minions push up further, whereas G2 have less of that opportunity. So GenG have more time to make plays across the map, whereas G2 do not, and that is a huge bummer if you're a G2 fan, because Caps, with the Destiny and obviously Unsealed Spellbook, they want to be making plays across map and allowing his Camille, allowing this Jhin to get ahead and be a nuisance for this GenG lineup in the late game. And yes, he's made a couple of plays and picked up basically 2 kills for himself by making them roams. It's still not the best of positions if you're G2, because you need to keep yourself constantly expanding a gold lead. You need to be building up eco more and more, and while it's kind of frozen out, it's still hard for them to do much on the map. And you need to build more and more CS advantages, you need to build more and more items, get the gold onto your carries, which is going to be hard considering Volibear is just doing very nicely into the Camille, and it's just being easy against a TF being kind of frozen out of the mid lane by the Azir. Going to be hard for him to do much. And interestingly enough, as we take a look at the turret plates gold, none for G2, whereas 5 for GenG, all a mid lane turret going over. I don't actually think it was 5. I think it was more than 5 actually, considering the fact that they took all the mid lane, they took at least one in bot lane. I don't know if they got one top side. You'd expect them maybe to have got one top. I don't know. But the interesting thing now is the positioning of the players on G2. You've got Caps in the bot lane and Perks now in the mid lane. And you're probably wondering, why am I bringing that up? Well, when you have a champion like TF, you want to keep him in the mid lane as long as possible. And with GenG switching it up, taking their bot laners up to mid lane, it's intriguing because this Destiny on the TF can only realistically affect the mid lane. If he wants to affect top lane, he's going to have to roam all the way up through to the mid lane and possibly a bit further into the top lane jungle, which is a long roam. So that is a huge thing you have to note, and it's why I don't like this rotation from G2. They could have kept their bot lane in the bot side map and pressured that turret, got themselves gold like that, but G2 are technically funneling a lot of gold into TF right now, as he's denying CS off this Azir and finally picked up gold lead from CS advantage for himself, as GenG actually pick up a Rift Herald for themselves. And that's an interesting Herald, because normally you drop that Herald mid to knock down the tier 1 or what have you in mid lane, to allow you to get, say, the 3rd Drake or the Soul Drake, because you use that very effectively to basically force pressure into one part of the map so you can take something on the other. That is how you play with the Heralds. And you look at the gold lead right now, Caps is actually ahead of everyone in the game, which is huge. So he's been denied a lane. His lane has been denied for himself, but he hasn't been denied the CS advantage that he's gained for himself. And you're probably wondering, okay, so how will GenG use this Herald? Well, I'd expect it probably to be dropped in the bot lane. I know it's not the best option for them. Like, you probably want to drop it topside, get that top lane tier 1, force Wunder or someone to go stop it. But instead, we're going to possibly see a collapse onto TF here, as the Herald's going to be dropped bot side. Swirl Seed will not land. Gold card is being tuned up here for Caps. So GenG not going to get the turret. That is a big kind of bummer for them, as G2 actually are looking to come down towards this soul point Drake for GenG, and they've brought 4 members. Gold card prepped for Caps. Spear's going to go wide. Swirl Seed will land. The sleep will not be pressed down onto Perks, and Perks has actually been forced away. So this is more than certainly going to be GenG's soul point. And Infernal Soul, while it's very good at damaging the enemy, applying a lot of damage through that, it's not the most sustaining Drake. And you're probably wondering why I'm bringing up sustain. Well, you look at this G2 lineup in comparison to the GenG. You've got Nidalee, who can provide a lot of healing. Already got the Athene's Unholy Grail. As bot side, we're seeing turrets traded across the map as Camille picks up the tier 1 in the top half. The bot lane tier 1 is not going to fall for G2, so they're keeping themselves even in terms of turrets for now, though GenG more likely will pick that up in the next waves or so. And we take a look-see at the items across the board. Camille already got a Tiamat and a completed Trinity Force, which is a whole item ahead of this Volibear, who's actually itemizing into the Sheen already, and that's starting to catch out onto Cleared. He's been knocked down as Jin picks up that kill. Gonna be interested to see how G2 caught him out there, as I think it might have been Pantheon pathing around the back of the bush, as bot side BDD possibly could be jumped on here. TP's going to come in through from Rascal, and Caps has been bursted down very low. Volibear's running forward. Home guard's parked. Lovely play there from Caps, keeping himself alive. He flashed gold carded, and that is a huge thing, because normally gold card you have to turn to the enemy to land it. And you're probably wondering, why is that important? Well, that split second it takes you to turn as mid, we're seeing engage onto Perks, though it's actually just going to turn out into chip damage. But normally you turn to throw the card, as we watch this again. So Pantheon just walking through jungle, spots Lilia, lands a Deadly Flourish combo, Destiny through, picks up the kill. Okay, that's a very standard thing. But normally in bot side, go back to the bot lane thing with Caps. Normally you turn to throw the gold card. Obviously you flash as you turn so that the Volibear doesn't have that opportunity to basically land his stun onto you for free. And that's why we saw Caps get away, because he flashed as he turned. So good play from him to keep himself alive. As we look at the vision score, while technically inflated by Zombie Ward here, Mickey X leads that tally. And you look at the rest of the vision score on GenG, normally you'd expect the supports to have the most vision score, and it's actually not on the GenG side of things, as Life is kind of slacking by, I guess, 3 vision score in comparison to his Callista. But that is kind of an interesting thing to note, is normally you'd expect a Taric to have more vision score than a Callista. So as we take a look at things right now, 21 minutes into the game, 2k gold lead for G2. They lead in the kills, though they don't lead in Drakes. And with the next Drake in a minute 30, we possibly could see a catch out here. Lilia's going to be caught out. That's TF coming in with Destiny. Grand Starfall's going to come through. Perks is going to pick that first kill up, and Des and Nidalee picking up the second. Pantheon's going to flash over the wall, keep himself alive, and the Curtain Call picks up the double kill for Jin. And G2 keep their team all alive And that's 3 kills over to them. And with 3 dead, that means that Baron is going to be given over to themselves. And I'm just ready for that gold lead to now balloon. As I was literally just saying, 2k G2 gold lead. It's now up to 4k. They've doubled it. Though GenG gonna trade objectives. The Ruler possibly gonna be caught out. He's gonna be spotted on that blast cone. Perks is running him down. Hookshot being used by Camille to continue the chase. Blast cone of wall. Deadly flourish combo lands. Cleanses being popped already. And that is the hookshot locking down the Callista. And Perks is on a rampage. And if this game was close 20 seconds ago, let's just say it's not now, with the Infernal Drake spawning up as we watch this again. Destiny spots out these 2 people caught on their own. Then it's just an easy kill for Perks to kill Eileen that one up. Emperor's Divide onto Mickey forces him to flash over the wall because Ruler would have more likely killed him with the Ren stacks. So GenG lose 3, lose Baron. Actually, it's lose 4 because Ruler was eventually killed off in the end. So lose 4, lose Baron, and lose the Infernal Soul Drake that they wanted for what? A tier 2 tower in the mid lane? That's not worth it. In fact, that is the opposite of worth. They've essentially thrown away the control of this game, and we look at the gold graph. While yes, it's been red since about 17 minutes into the game, it's still been very close, and it was on knife's edge as once again Rascal has been caught out with the Destiny. Deadly Flourish combo is going to land, but the Stormbringer makes this volley bear unstoppable. Curtain Call is going to be opened up, but you're on the wrong side of the map. Gold card's going to land, and here comes Mickey. Deadly Flourish was going to secure the kill, but Mickey says, nah mate, I've got a spear, and throws it to pick up that one for himself. And G2 are starting to snowball this game. And when you start to say that, you have to be worried about the Jhin. He is 4-0-3. He's even on CS. He has an IE, a rapid fire cannon, and building up his Storm Razor. Saucy is going to land in bot lane as well, so I was expecting maybe the Lullaby to come through and an engage from GenG, but nothing comes from it as tier 2 turrets are falling across the map. G2 pressurizing this mid lane, and it's interesting to see how G2 have actually assigned their members. Caps hovering in this top lane, starting to slow push it, I would say. The wave's only just been cleared for himself, and going to be looking to pressure this tier 2 turret in the top side. That is going to be fairly easy for them to take if GenG do not respond to him. But they're sending members across the map. Azir obviously positioning over there. BDD will pick that wave up. Rascal is picking up this bot lane wave. And the rest of his team is just hovering in the mid lane. So these 2 teams in a very strong point in the game, I'd say, for both carries. Callista, Jhin, kind of even in terms of itemization, though both are going back to base right now. Interesting to see what they pick up, because I don't know if Perks has backed since he got the Baron. And what do we see on the side of Callista? She picks up her BF sword, whereas that is the completed Storm Razor for the Jhin, and he's going to be pumping out tons of damage in fights, as Destiny's going to be used. Possibly a fight for G2 here. No, he's just popping Destiny to see where the rest of GenG were to possibly look to contest. And what is TF using his ult for? Nothing. Okay, he just used it to get a bit of vision for his team. Fair enough. Makes sense to do that. Make sure they're safe. Obviously, the Baron has timed out, and G2 have actually reached a 6k gold lead for themselves. you have to be worried if you're a GenG fan, because you don't have the presence on the map anymore. Now that G2 have cracked them tier 2 turrets up, they control this bot lane river, and you see the vision in this jungle placed by Mickey and Jankos. I would assume they've got control ward that's going to be stepped on by Rascal right now to control this entrance to the jungle, and they also have one over the bot lane Tribush that's normally for GenG, as we could see an engage as the Fate Skull is going to be used. That's a Cosmic Radiance being used, but he's bursted out before it even gets used. Lullaby is going to be used on 3, and that cancels out the curtain call. G2 have already picked up one in his fight, and Caps is frontlining. He's got the gold card propped. There's a Grand Starfall coming in from Pantheon, and he's jumping into the backline. Jin's going to pick up the kill onto the Azir there. Destiny's being used. He's looking to chase down. Gold card is prepped. Lilia is possibly going to be locked up. Flash is being used by Jankos. He's looking to land that spear, but here comes Wonder. He's going to execute Ruler in that fight. That's another kill as TF picks that one up for himself, and that is the full team wipe as a double kill for Caps secures the ace. And G2 looking to push into possibly the base of GenG as Baron has spawned once again. They lost no one in that fight, as it was more of a skirmish as they just chase member after member, and Wonder proxy farming the wave between the tier 2 turret and the inhib turret. Not something you normally see, as life coming up to this Baron pit. G2 cannot stay here as TP is coming in for the Azir, and that's a big thing as well. Jankos was taking the Infernal Drake, stopping the soul going over to GenG. That's why G2 had to pull off the Baron. As we watch this fight again, what do we see? Jin spots Ruler, Fate Skull's used, landed onto the 2 carries of G2. Pantheon then CC chains up the Tarek, allowing an easy kill for Jin to kill him off. Storm Razor crits as well coming through, and then it's Perks and Caps frontlining for the team, as GenG actually are burning out the Baron right now. This could be the possible last play of the game, as the Deadly Flourish combo is going to land. Emperor's Device is going to catch out Perks, and that's a shutdown as Lilia picks that one up for himself. There's a stopwatch being popped by TF. He's going to be knocked up and killed off, and Lilia picks up a shutdown. But G2 are too strong. They have secured everyone on GenG. That is the full team wipe as Wonder, Mickey and Caps secure the kills. They can push down the mid lane and possibly end this game off of that play. The death timers are 20 to 30 seconds on everyone on GenG, and they're taking at least the inhibitor here, if not the game, and they're looking to continue forward. They're taking this Nexus turret. There goes number 1, and here goes number 2, and that is game number 1 over to G2 here after a do or die attempt on the Baron by GenG, and a nice flash of the TSM Worlds logo from G2 there, showing what teams GenG beat to get to this stage. Kappa. But that is a huge win for G2 to get this series rolling for themselves, beating GenG, a team that was very dominant in their group. Only one team were able to beat them, and that is a big thing to say. Nonetheless, that is going to be it for this episode. If you enjoyed it, leave a like down below, subscribe if you're new around here if you want to, and I will see you guys later. Peace out.